That we also understand that immigration and immigrants are used as wedge issues, as immigration reform and immigrants as a community to be wedged. We learned that we need to counter racism head on. We need to counter racism head on with our friends and with our foes, with our friends. We had a very broad coalition that included the Irish Reform Lobby, the Legalize the Irish, and they were great and they were wonderful and they were part of our coalition. Some of our friends said, well, you know, it's not that great that the Irish are undocumented. Let's create a bill just for them. Because how can we accept Irish being undocumented? Well, what about the Latinos and what about the Africans and what about the Asians, right? To the credit of the Irish Reform Lobby, they stood firm with the coalition. With our foes, the Southern Poverty Law Center has said that there are now about 300 hate groups that have grown out of the fight against immigrants. They are in our cities. They are all over this country, and they are violent. And they are also powerful in this debate. We've seen the increase in hate crimes against our community. Part of our work has now become actually offering support for victims of hate crimes. These are the same people, however, it's not just immigrants that they don't like. They just don't like a lot of people of color or who are different from them. Death threats and revolting mail and emails have become part of our work. So I ask you, should we be fighting against these groups together and understand that the fight they have with immigrants is the fight they have with anybody, again, who is different from them. We learned that our politicians need to be scared of us. They need to fear us. And that we need to make sure that we're out there voting and that we have a powerful program that actually engages new citizens, that gets them out, educates them, and gets them out to vote. So we formed the We're America Alliance, Holly Holidays here from the We're America Alliance. And our goal with our 14 national partners is to register 500,000 new citizen voters and to get 1 million people out to the polls in November. In Los Angeles, we've been going to all the naturalization ceremonies where almost 18,000 people are taking the oath to become a citizen. And in May, we were able to register 8,000 of them. We're very happy about that. And just this past week, we were able to register another 7,000. So we're going to make sure that those people are out voting, and they're voting, and they are voting as educated voters. I want to finish with the following, and it's I came here and I said, I have an ask and a challenge for my colleagues in the progressive community, and the challenge is as follows. I believe that yes, we have to fight to bring the troops home to stop this war. I ask you, I implore you, that when you think of bringing those young people home, you also think of all the Iraqis, the 500,000 Iraqi refugees who also need to be home. And if we're not going to have them be able to go back to their home, that we open our doors to them as refugees. I ask you that if you're fighting for environmental justice and environmental degradation, that you also think about how this environmental degradation is causing migration so that people can no longer plot their lands, that they have to move into urban areas, and from urban areas migrate north to the United States. To look at the environmental impact. When we're thinking about this, when you're thinking about environmental impact, to also think about the migration impact. In all your work, in all your fights, to look at what the migration impact is and to address it, not to ignore it. I have a second ask, which is, in this fight, there is a historic moment right now. And as we move forward, there's a lot of hope and a lot of possibility. And in this hope and possibility, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to ask you to reject immigrants. To reject immigrants as you push for health care. To reject immigrants as you fight for the right to organize and for labor rights. To reject immigrants when we're talking about the economic stimulus. They've already done it. The economic stimulus says very clearly that if nobody with, even if you worked, and even if you paid taxes, you cannot get any refund back. So right now, we have military families, and it's just for military families, who are fighting so that even if there's somebody in the home who's undocumented, if there is somebody who is fighting in the military, that they could get some of that, or some of those resources back. So I ask you that as we move forward in this time of opportunity, which we have all created, to make sure that you don't reject immigrants and you don't reject any other community. Because there's great benefit to all of us. Because I can tell you, and I have seen it, that immigrants will fight for health care, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who don't have it. They will fight for labor rights and the right to organize, because they're the ones being exploited. They're going to fight for racial justice because they are being pushed, and they've seen how other communities have also been discriminated. They will fight against criminalization because they're workers but treated as criminals. And that together we can build America, together we have a lot of strength, is not just a feel-good rhetoric of the time, but in this historic time, it is strategic, it is necessary, and it is the powerful action that we need. So I really thank you for giving us the time to talk about immigration.